Okay, we're back for round 3. We're a little bit earlier than I managed to get live for the last one, so all good stuff there. I've sticky-tacked my webcam so that it shouldn't move. We've got a nice, stable position there, and I hope we're all doing well. See if I turn that off and turn it back on. There we go. Cleanse the chat for the new game. Hopefully this has gone live correctly. Let me just double check on the back end, make sure everything is all good there. Looks solid. All right, if you're just joining us, obviously the way this is working, where I'm doing individual streams, lovely, thank you Chris, appreciate that. Because I'm doing these as streams, they are going to take a little while to pick up. So if you're here and you haven't already, please do give the stream a thumbs up. Help me get picked up by the algorithm. Does help out massively in terms of people coming to the stream. This is a fun one. Who's playing? Anyone from Disc? Yes! This is G. Wilder, Gwillem, who has some incredibly painted Dark Elves. Gwillem and I went to a tournament at the TSN Arena, and we somehow ended up submitting the same list. And I mean the same list, down to just the model. It was incredible. And between us, we were one complete player, because I won Best Painted. No, he won Best Painted, sorry, and I won the tournament. So between the two of us, we were one complete Dark Elf player, which I think is a pretty incredible achievement, honestly. I was pretty jazzed about that. But yeah, he's a Dark Elf enjoyer through and through. I've obviously moved away from them a little bit to play some other bits and pieces, but I do love seeing his models on the table. Obviously, we've also got Andy. Brain just turned off there for a second. I'm only 3 cups of tea in. I don't know how I've been coping today. We've got Andy as well with his Warriors of Chaos. Really fun Warriors of Chaos list. While they're looking through spells and sorting all that, I reckon let's start off by looking at the matchup and also how things are looking across the board for round 3. Hams fan, hyped to see a Dark Elf game. I hope this doesn't awake something in me. Community, what a great TV show. I binged that when I was in my first year of uni. I think I just watched all 4 seasons that were out at the time in like over the course of 2 or 3 days. I just didn't leave my room. Good times. Good times. Okay. So we're looking at which table is this? Okie dokie. Why is reading so hard? There we go. Slam Bam, thank you, ma'am. Andy Dalton versus Gwillem Johnson of the Renegades of Funk. So I'm going to take you through Andy's list first, because Andy's list is pretty exciting, I think. Let me just clear that up. I haven't managed to mic the players up for this one. I think the issue I'm having is the... thank you.
Great having these streams today to keep me entertained while I slog through painting some Jade Lancers.
I've got it fixed. Amazing. Thank you so much, Peter. Jade Lancers, really lovely models, but they do suffer from what newer models suffer from, which is a lot of detail and a little bit fiddly to get the paint on them. But thank you very much. Okay. So. Let's start off over here with Andy's list, as mentioned. So, this is Warriors of Chaos Grand Army, magnificently idiotic slam teams list, November 25. It's always good when you start off with a title along those lines. We've got a Chaos Lord, who is on a Chaos Steed, Ogre Blade, Luckstone, 2 Favors of the Gods, extra arm, you know, classic full plate shield. So this is a 2-up save model that is going to hit so hard. Baseline starting off with, I think you start with 5 attacks for a Chaos Lord, right? So it comes in with 6 attacks for the Ogre Blade. This is just going to chop and chop and chop. We've got the Sorcerer Lord here as well, level 4 on a Chariot, Demon Sword, Spell Familiar, double Favor of the Gods, Dark Magic. So we're just looking basically as aggressive as possible for Andy's characters. Intercore, a couple of units of Forsaken, just small, relatively cheap for Forsaken, only 115, 114 points per unit. They're fast. They're Forsaken for Slanesh, so they've got the Swift Stride. They're not the punchiest, but they're relatively tanky with a 5-up save and a 5-up ward. A unit of Warhounds, 10 of them there with Vanguard, super cheap. 65 points for 10 models in Warriors of Chaos is pretty nice to have. Got some Chaos Knights as well. Mark of Khorne looking for full violence, full command there as well. Oh, no, sorry. No standard bearer. I agree. I think standards probably would be a mistake on this unit. It just wants to get in and do as much damage as possible. We've got a unit of 11 Chaos Marauders, who are skirmishers, good to hold objectives with. 5 Marauder Horsemen, looking to do some damage there with javelins, shields, and flails, so pretty flexible on that side. Some individual Dragon Ogres, 3 individual Dragon Ogres, but then the fun meat of the list, which is 3 units of 3 Chaos Ogres. These are great weapons, heavy armor. So basically just think Iron Guts if you haven't come up against Chaos Ogres, and that's basically where you are. They do come with the mark of Chaos Undivided, so they are more resistant to Fear Panic, all of that good stuff, in a way that, you know, you're not if you're playing Ogres, unfortunately. Then we've got a Giant Spawner Nurgle and a Warp Fire Dragon as well. So a lot of the good stuff. 2,600 points, you just have to bring lots of good models. As well, I'm hopefully at some point going to have some pictures that I can show you from Lewis. So you'll get to see some really nice models. I did, you know, wax lyrical about how nice Gwilym's models are. But Andy has a great list as well. He's got really nice converted models that he uses. I believe he uses this army as either Warriors of Chaos or Dark Elves, depending on what he wants to do. From talking to him previously, I think off the top of my head he has 3 armies, but all of those armies are dual purpose because of the conversion. So he basically has 6 armies at his disposal, which I think is just a great way to play if you want to get the most out of what you have. And he's it's not like he's trying to cut corners. He spent a lot of time converting them. So looking forward to be able to put those on the table, or put them on the stream, sorry. Curious how the Ogres manage? Yeah, me too. Me too. There's a lot of light stuff on the board for the Dark Elves, so we'll see. Definitely could go well. They're going to be a little bit hard for the Dark Elf player to pick up because there's a lot of like low strength. Obviously, dragons will just eat them, but stuff like repeater crossbows are not going to really do anything to Chaos Ogres. They're going to be wounding on 5s. They've got a 5-up armor save. It's just going to take a while to chip through them. Going into Gwilym's list, now that we're talking about it, we've got Double Dragon, and I am fervently in agreement that this is the way that you want to run dragons. Although I don't know that I agree necessarily with the item choices. Dragon Slaying Sword here is an interesting one. It does mean that you're more likely to be able to win those dragon versus dragon combats, but I just like my dragons to run around and kill everything else. I guess it's working on the basis of you don't need a weapon on the unit champion. Sorry, not the unit champion, on the character, so why not just go with something to kill the things you have problems with. So we've got a Dreadlord on Dragon, full plate shield, so 3-up armor save. We've got the Talisman of Protection, we've got the Dragon Slaying Sword as well. Supreme Sorceress on a Dragon, level 3 Wizard with the Pendant of Kaleth, which is a 5-up ward save at all times, becoming a 4-up ward save if they are strength 5 or greater. So basically, anything that's going to wound a dragon, you've got a 4-up ward save against. That's really nice. Tomb of Furion and Dark Magic there. So interested to see what he tries to pull off with Battle Lust, I'm assuming. The Sorceress, level 2, we've got a Cold One, Lore Familiar, Power Scroll, Demonology. Great combo. This is going to go in with the Cold One bust, trying to cast Demonic Vessel and Demonic Vigor. Make sure that you're not only going further, but you're hitting harder. You can get up to a ridiculous amount of attacks. Because you've got the Banner of Harganeth in this unit, basically, each Cold One is going to have 3 attacks at Strength 5, AP 2, Armor Bane 1, which is disgustingly good. And then each rider with the Lance is going to have 2 attacks at Strength 7, AP 4, which, again, that's just going to crack a lot of nuts. Cold Ones are obviously stupid, so there is a downside to using Cold Ones. But outside of that, they are very, very solid. So looking forward to hopefully seeing them not fail stupidity and getting into combat, because this is very much a violence versus violence game. We've got a Master as well, BSB on a Cold One, really looking to buff that Cold One bus up with a great weapon. I do quite like the great weapon here. Obviously, you've got Strikes First being an elf, so you're still going to be striking at Initiative 8 on a frontal charge. You do lose the shield. That's fine. You've still got a 3-up save from the Barding and the great weapon. But most importantly, you've got the Cold Blooded Banner on there. You have to pop the Cold Blooded Banner before you actually make your leadership test, but it lets you, I believe, off the top of my head, roll an additional die and you discard one of them for the stupidity test. So just gives you a little bit more reliability on a key turn. However, this is good. It's going to help you grind through combat where needed as well. Dark Riders in Court, big fan of these. Repeater Crossbowmen, I don't mind them. light armor, shields, hand weapons. This is just a solid scoring unit that also comes with some decent range punch from the repeater crossbows. I'd like to see a musician on there as well, I think, but Lordling and Standard Bearer, good choices. Going to be hard to chip through this for, most things, especially with the stand and shoot damage that you get. So this can be, I think, quite a key unit at holding objectives. Another unit of Dark Riders and some warriors, 10 warriors with shields and a unit champion. I'd like to see this buffed up a little bit, maybe 12 or 14, because as soon as you take any casualties on this, it's not going to be able to score. Over to the special units, we've got a unit of 7 Cold War Knights, who are loaded to the teeth. So they've got a 2-up save, they're toughness 4, they're very killy. They've got the Banner of Harganeth for extra attack, AP and all their attacks, so they can grind through combat really easily. 2 Obsidian Lodestones on the Dread Knight Champion, so magic resist 2. This unit will go out and be sort of that pseudo third dragon that you're looking for in a Dark Elf list. You want something that can do some punch that isn't just the dragons there. Some Shades, who are ambushes, so they can come in and do backline, baggage, train, destroyal. Harpies, 6 of them, doing a very similar job, and then also 5 Doomfire Warlocks. Now, they're going to pick Battle Lust, and the reason they're going to pick Battle Lust is if you can get your Demonic Vessel off on the unit, you go from having 3 attacks, this is the Cold War Knights I'm talking about, Demonic Vessel, they're going to go from 3 attacks per model to 5, because the Cold One and the Rider both get an extra attack, and then Battle Lust, you'll get I think the Frenzy is just the Rider off the top of my head. No, it's Frenzy's on everyone, because it goes on the unit. So you get the Frenzy and you get the Hatred, so you're going to have 7 attacks per model, all rerolling hits. Incredible. That can flatten most things. Will it kill a dragon? No, sure. No, it won't kill a dragon. Kill a lot of other stuff, though. Cool. So, that is the lists. Let's have a look at the mission. Thank you, Johnny Tightlips. Enjoying these streams a lot. Hope you guys keep at it. Yeah, that is the goal. I'm hoping to do these as long as it's achievable. I'd like to do them every 2 months when he runs a tournament. Though I might want to play one of them at some point. We'll see. Maybe I could come and just play on this table the whole way through. Maybe that's something that we do for one of them. Amazing. Thank you so much. Lovely, lovely stuff. You right? You just surreptitiously... He's handing me chocolate bars. I'm pretty hungry. I ate my lunch at like 11:30, 12-ish, and I know that I'm not going to eat until 8 o'clock, and I'm going to be sat here talking, and I have no way to get out. So I put in an order for a couple of chocolate bars and another tea to keep me going there. Hobby Jerk says, Frenzy's just Rider might be an FAQ thing a while back. So the Frenzy is cast on the unit. So Frenzy coming from the Rider wouldn't apply to a mount, but I believe because I'd have to double check the wording of the spell. In fact, let's just do it. Let's have a look at Battle Lust here, because I'm pretty sure that both parts apply to the unit now. Let's just double check this one while we can. Ah, yeah, perfect. Not a problem at all. Okay, sweet. So, 2 good lists here. I think these lists are pretty evenly matched. I think I would give the edge to Gwillem, just because dragons are really hard for Andy's list to deal with. But there's so much punch in here. I think it basically comes down to how well these ogres play. And I don't really have an idea of what they're going to do, because you don't see them very often on the tabletop. So, but only 117 points for, 10 attacks with great weapons. They're not bad. You know what I will check, actually? I will just have a look. Are Chaos Ogres better weapon skill? Because if they're weapon skill 4, which they might be, because Chaos is generally just a little bit better. Are they weapon skill 4? No, just 3. Okay, so it's just a normal Ogre stat line. But yeah, I'm keen to see how they do on the tabletop. Let's have a look at the mission there. It is Game 3, The Escaping Mandeville. So we're looking at a corners deployment, but with the adaptation you can see here, there's a 4-inch gap up here, so you can put units actually in this top corner, even though you're a rank and flank army. The way that it works is it's only 5 turns, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. It starts off with an objective counter in the center, and at the start of each player's starter turn subphase, it moves 2d6 in a random direction. It's a special feature with unusual properties, so he's not impassable line of sight blocking, and you can also guide his travel. Amazing, thank you. We've also got, so if you do so, Joffrey moves 2d3 in the direction of the player's choice. I think That's instead of the movement. It's a little bit loose on the rules writing there, Lewis, but I believe that's instead of moving 2d6 in a random direction, you move 2d3 in the direction that you wish to move. So that's solid there. Victory, it's all of the usual stuff. Joffrey, whoever controls him at the end, gets 250 points, and then also 125 points for the table quarters. So basically a fixed domination, because as it stands, you can get too many points of domination, and I am in favor of seeing it nerfed. Now, I actually don't know how well you can see this on the table, but what Andy does do is he has taken pictures of his models because they're converted, so he's got a guide here that he hands out to players. I'm going to take a picture here because while it's not going to photo super well under the lights, it's better than me holding it to the camera. So let me just send this to myself, and then I'll bring it up on screen, and we can have a look at these. Annoyingly, the photo I took is at the wrong orientation because of how I took it. That's not very smart of me, is it? Let's just go camera here. It's too bright. Unfortunately, good conditions for streaming are not conditions for taking pictures of models. Not models, shiny glossy paper is what I'm trying to say. Okay, that will do. That will do. Amy says, they're half the price of the same volume of troll attacks, pretty much. Yeah, but we're not taking trolls for the amount of attacks they put out, are we, Amy? We're taking them for how disgustingly resilient they are. Pun fully intended. So, if I just pull up this image, and let's just change the screen share here so we can have a look at these models. So, you can see here, we'll get some proper pictures of models through the game. But we've got Warhounds up in the top, which are converted from some old Tyranids. They're not showing up super well. The Cold One Knights are Chaos Knights. Got some Dragon Ogres here, which is sort of like Dark Elves on the back of very, very trunky Dragon Ogres. Got a Warpfire Dragon. Some Marauders, which are the most normal looking of all of the models. Some good bits and pieces. The Chaos Ogres are old Raveners converted up. The Forsaken are some Tyranid... I can't remember what they are. But yeah, just a nice idea of the models that Andy's got on the table there. All right. Let's go back to it. In fact, before I forget, let's just go back to this screen, and then I will go to the top-down full screen. Yeah, it's a very cool idea. I've played against this army, actually, and I've seen it at events a couple of times. Oh. And for anyone keeping score at home, this is cup of tea number 3, I think. I guess it's number 3. I've got 3 tea bags on the table in front of me, so it looks like cup of tea number 3. Very cool army. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Okie dokie. So, deployment is pretty much resolved, as we can see here. Let's go to the top-down proper camera so we can see. Looks like we've got the Chaos Knights down in the bottom right corner for Andy, followed up by some Chaos Ogres there, the Wizardon Chariot next to them, alongside... I'm not actually sure what that model is there. Let me just have a look on the list. I think that might be the baggage train that's in next to them as well. Seems likely. Oh, no, it's the Gigantic Spawn, which I don't think photographed very well, but it's a really nice converted Hydra. We've also got centrally, you can see the Warhounds in marching column there, some Forsaken next to them, Warhounds making their vanguard move before we get the roll-off for who takes first turn here. We've got some Marauder Horsemen in the back just behind where those Warhounds are, and then you can see some more Ogres at the top side of the board alongside the Chaos Warpfire Dragon and some other bits and pieces. The Chaos Lord is... I'm actually not sure where the Chaos Lord is. It doesn't appear to be tucked in with the Chaos Knights, but he could be just down in the bottom right over there. The handshake is in, the sportsmanship being witnessed. Very good. Love to see it here on stream. Gwillem does take, rolls a 5 for the first turn, and getting in the way, you can see on the screen there, as requested by me, Lewis is taking some pictures for us to gawk at. All right. Looks like Andy is going first. Just to summarize what we've got here. In the top left for Gwillem, we've got the Dark Elf Crossbowmen. We've got some Dark Riders in the center there, but also at the bottom, looking like they're in marching column. They're not actually in marching column. They are just arrayed, taking up as little space as possible. We've got the big Cold One Night Bus just above the Dark Riders at the bottom there, alongside with the Warriors at the back by the tower, and also another unit of... Is this the Shades? I guess that must be the Shades. It looks like they're starting on the board as well. We've got both dragons tucked up towards the middle left there, which is good in this sort of game. You could probably send the dragons off on their own, but I think it's probably just going to be a case of sending them in and doing as much damage as possible, because there are some threats to them. Warpfire dragons can be nasty, especially when Dark Elf dragons really lean on the Pendant of Kaleth to stay alive, given that it turns off ward saves. Amy says, you reckon Dark Elves will win, but how much by do you think? This is going to be a bloody game, in my opinion. Andy is a very aggressive player. I think he's going to full send everything as much as possible, and it's just going to be very aggressive. Oh, sorry, apologies. It's Dark Elves to go first. They were rolling the scatter for Sir Manfred or Gottfried or whatever he's called. The chap who is the objective in this mission. Basically the special feature that scatters. Carmine Dragon, let's go. Yeah, it's such a lovely model. Ah, Scatter the Winds. Those are Doomfire Wars behind the Cold One Knights. Yes, very good spot there. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Chaos Black says next week cups of tea tier list. There's only one. Yorkshire tea. I'm an unapologetic Yorkshire tea drinker. I don't know why I'd be apologetic for it, but I shan't apologize. Shan't apologize. Okay. Gwillem's got the first turn. I have been sent some shots. My man on the ground doing a fantastic job at getting me the pictures. Normally you need what has been coined a table boss, someone who'll go around and get information about the rest of the games and all that good stuff. But I've got a TO who's doing the same thing for me, so it's working out really, really nicely. Okay, so you can see here we've got a good shot of the very Tyranid-inspired models. In fact, let's go to the next one. We've got the Dark Elves on that table there. Nice action shot. Definitely is the Doomfire Warlocks behind them. And as well, look at that dragon. What a nice green. It's a very Dark Elf heavy board. Obviously, Warriors of Chaos on one side, but models converted out of old classic Dark Elves. Really nice to see. Let's just go back to this shot here. Look at all of those beasties. So the Chaos Lord is currently not in a unit. He is just stood behind the Chaos Ogres, by the looks of things there. Edmo is here. Evening. Good to see you. Darjeeling STT. You know what? I don't think I've tried it, so I shan't comment. But anything that's a little bit, you know, if my spoon doesn't stick up in it, then what's the point? I started drinking I started drinking tea on a builder's yard, and I was the new guy. So when they got me to when they got me to, you know, bring them tea, I just obviously made it in the same way that they asked me to make it, because why would I do anything else? That's how tea is drunk. So it was milky with like 3 sugars in. I did have to wean myself off that slowly, but it's for the best. Okay. So turn 1, Gwillem starting to get aggressive, bringing the not Doomfire Warlocks, the Crossbowmen, bring the Crossbowmen up onto the hill, so they're able to get a good shot. Quite an aggressive positioning. I'm a little bit worried for them. Not only is there a Warpfire Dragon up there, there's also the Gigantic Spawn. And now, I don't want to say that they're a little bit toast, unless Gwillem does something to save them. Crossbowmen do not kill Warpfire Dragons and Giant Spawn. Not with, you know, reasonable dice. Anyone have the BCP link for this match? If you just search Saffron into BCP for tournaments going on this weekend, you'll be able to see it there. I haven't got it to hand. Oh, I'm telling you lies. I am telling you lies. Of course I've got it. Let me just link it in the chat. I hope it'll let me post that there. Okay, great. Great, 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 great. Looking pretty aggressive there. Nice movement from Gwillem, although he has put both of his dragon in the woods. That is something that can be a problem, I would say, in terms of you really want your dragons to not fail their charges, and when my dragons touch woods, that's when they typically fail charges. So, a little bit concerned there for the turn 2 charges. Going to be interested to see what Andy does in terms of his response to, the more risky charge positions that he's going to be facing up against. The Dark Riders coming in range. It looks to me like Willem's goal here is to try and gun off those Forsaken that are at the front there, and then probably put some shots into the Chaos Ogres in subsequent turns. So we'll see how that one goes on. This barely feels like I'm working. I'm eating a Kit Kat, drinking a tea, and I'm watching Warhammer. What's different to this than my normal day-to-day? All right. Liking this level of aggression from Gwillem. He knows that he's got the big heavy hitters here. That unit of Cold One Knights positioned to either sweep a flank or need some serious response to it. I'm not really seeing much on the right-hand flank that can deal with them outside of the Chaos Lord. Now, the Chaos Lord does have 6 attacks, but Ogre Blade's not that great into 2-up armor save models. So we will see how that goes. It might be a case of, the charge goes in, and if he's not protected in a challenge, he takes a surprising amount of damage and only does a couple of, only kills a couple of models in response. Okay. I think I need to move this up slightly. Glued my, not glued, sticky taped my camera in place, but it does seem to have moved a little bit. All right, mood seeming good. Looks like there was little to no shooting. Good evening, Lex Moon. Hope you're doing well. Little to no shooting on turn 1. I think there was maybe some... In fact, you know what? I don't even think there were any dice rolled. Looking at the distances between the models, Andy's getting the arc of sight out, making sure that he's not going to be charged by those dragons. Chaos Spawn are free lunch for dragons. Now, it might take them a couple of turns to kill them, especially with the Unbreakable in there, but 2 turns to kill something is the absolute ideal amount of time for a dragon to kill a unit. And the reason for that is you can't be shot, and you also get to turn your facing at the end of your opponent's turn. So 2 rounds of combat, absolutely ideal. Hope stream's going well. Yeah, it's been great. I'm doing them all as individual streams. Whether or not that is correct, I will have a think about. But it does give me a little bit of downtime between games. The downside is just that we do end up having, obviously, people drop out and then the stream picks back up again. Speaking of, if you're here and you haven't already, do give the stream a thumbs up. It helps get picked up by the algorithm. All of that good stuff, etc., etc. Sorcerer Lord with a Demon Sword was worth the entry fee alone. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's with dark magic as well, so I'm assuming that it's to make the most of Infernal Gateway, as opposed to... I would have been tempted to go with Demonic Vessel. I'm a big fan of Demonic Vessel anytime I've got like a wizard that wants to do combat. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Dark is the only law with more than one assailment. Very good point. That's true. Sex says you didn't drop out, you're just busy and can't heckle you right now. I know it's disappointing. That is disappointing. Andy taking some time to have a thinking phase before the movement phase, which is something that I would massively recommend. Before you move any of your models, try and have a plan going into that round of combat. You can be thinking about it through your opponent's turn, but there's no harm in taking a couple of minutes to make sure that you know what you're doing before you get any further into the game. I'm just basing a sorceress as the one in the Dark Elf lists as Mark. Yeah, absolutely. There's two. So there's one on a Cold One, who is joining the Cold One Knights for Demonic Vessel, making sure to cast Demonic Vigor, give them the extra strength attacks and AP. And then there's another one on a Dragon, which is a really good place to have them. Foot Sorceresses, not a lot of... there's a lot less you can do with a Foot Sorceress than one on a mount of some kind, but they are great models, so on that basis alone, it's worth having them. I love the ambient chatter of a gaming hall. It's just a nice sound. Yeah. I was thinking about putting a filter on, but I did do a little bit of a sound test before I went live for the first stream. And it doesn't seem to be too distracting, so I think we're just going to leave it as that. Hamsfan says, didn't see a thinking phase in the big book, so I've never taken one. Explains my win rate. We can work on that, buddy. We can work on that. I'm a big winter enjoyer, and it's got dark outside, which means that my cupboard has got much more of a cozy vibe going for it now. Warpfire Dragon or a decked out unit of Chosen Chaos Knights? It's so hard not to say the Warpfire Dragon. I like what Chosen Knights bring, but a Warpfire Dragon is just a dragon that can't be challenged out. Has at minimum 2 saves and can get a third one depending on what's coming into it. I thought the thinking phase was only if you took the Orc hat. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. But if you've played Orcs before, you're allowed to use their items in other armies. Do you not believe me? Case in point, Chaos Dwarves. They can have any items that they want. Or if you use, I don't know, any mercenaries from there. What mercenaries can you take from Orcs and Goblins? The Ogres, right? The Badland Ogres, so you can take their banners. The question really is Warpfire Dragon or Double Gigantic Spawn. That is a question. I really like the Warpfire Dragon, especially in a world where I'm looking at going like double Exalted Champion Dragon and a Warpfire Dragon. Make the Dragon level 1 so you have some level of Dispel threat. You can go very heavy on Magic Resist across the board, so you can have all of your units at Magic Res 2. But all the Dragons have it. You can put the Brazen Collar on the Exalted Champions. But also, you can put it on the unit super easily because the Brazen Collar is a not okay magical item. I don't understand why it exists, to be honest. But, yeah. Amy says, best mic volume you've had in a while. Okay. First of all, hurtful. Second of all, fair. Yeah. It's almost as if this is a really good bit of tech. It's, as mentioned, borrowed from Squarebase Rob. It's a £200 headset into a Focusrite Scarlet 212, 2i2, something like that, which I'm assuming is also a couple of £100. So you definitely get what you pay for, and these are really nice. It's very comfortable as well. Blocks out a lot of the background noise. Swap the Brazen Collar for the Ring of Jet. You know what? For Warriors of Chaos, I'd rather have the Magic Resist. Actually, no, I'm talking on my arse. Ring of Jet's just so good. Yeah. You feel like it's in general quiet versus other YouTube videos, but you normally have your sound at like 15%, so turning it up isn't a problem. I can turn up the volume a little bit. Tell you what, I'll nudge it. I don't want to adjust it too severely, but I will nudge it up a little bit. Also, it could be that the microphone's a little far away from my face. Given the kit back with tea and Kit Kat stains all over it. No, I'm going to take really good care of it because he's so nice that he's lent it to me. I have got a funny story about... I'll get to that in a second. So, looking at the positioning here... oh, wow. What was that? So half the cold ones just off the board. That has got to be... I mean, there's not really all that much ranged in this list. Let me just double check. Is it a Tzeentch caster? If it's a Tzeentch caster, that makes sense. Okay, so Sorcerer Lord, mark as Tzeentch. Sorry, I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put the dice cam on so we can check to see if anything is going on there so we don't miss it. But that was Blue Fire of Tzeentch killing 4 Cold One Knights, which is absolutely horrifying. Really, really solid. Any chance of getting what spells the wizards have? It's a little hard to see them, unfortunately. I will see if I can peek over the side. No, they're too far away. But definitely, that was definitely Blue Fire of Tzeentch there. Nobu Ruby Ring of Ruin in this list as well. So that's basically the only magic missile that matters. But yeah, a strong turn there, in my opinion, from the Chaos player Andy. Some good positioning. You can see that everything's sort of just staying out of range. He's a very experienced player, is Andy, so he's made sure to measure where things go. That is the special objective, scattering towards Andy, although he was close enough to control it, so less scattering and more just taking. But yeah, some nice positioning, and the Chaos Knights are positioned behind. So currently the Cold One bus is going to go in, kill 3 ogres, hit the Chaos Lord, and then if the Chaos Lord needs assistance, there's some Chaos Knights there as well. Chaos Black will come and be my my table boss. Hell yeah. Send a runner. Surely you have an apprentice or something. I could ask Lewis, and if he appears, I will, but I am aware that he is also running an event, and he's been very good about bringing me tea every time I ask for it, so I don't want to abuse the power too much, you know. Swap Brazen Collar for Witch Hunter's Ward. Same points with extra effect. Yeah, I don't mind Witch Hunter's Ward as much, just because the individual units can't... In Empire, there are less things that can take a unit champion with Witch Hunter's Ward, whereas kind of everything that you want to run in Warriors of Chaos that you care about can take it. You can't put it on, like, Marauder Horseman, but whatever. Tell Lewis that he better have ice creams ready. Is that a thing that we need to worry about? Oh, there we go. So it looks like we've got Demonic Vessel off, but Demonic Vigor failing to cast there. So this bus is going to hit very hard, but the problem is not killing the Chaos Ogres, which are positioned well with the Chaos Lord behind them. The issue is going to be not just immediately folding, and that is a very, very expensive bus. Now, 4 models died from it, so already it's lost a lot of punch, but we've got there a 324-point unit with a banner in it, so... You know, we're looking at 374 points. On top of that, we've got the BSB, so an extra 100 points if it dies in combat, 474, plus the points of the Sorceress and the Dark Elf Master. We're looking at about 800 points for that one unit. So this is super risky. I think if I'm Gwillem, I'm just talking quietly now. I don't want to accidentally influence the game, but I think I'm not making that charge. I'm turning tail and fleeing. I'm very unhappy about it, but I just don't feel like I can risk going in there. Spell goes off on a 10. I believe that was the wizard on the dragon there. Dark magic. So likely Battle Lust into... Yeah. Looks like Battle Lust there onto the dragon that's going to be charging in. Extra attack and hatred. Hatred on a dragon is really solid. High Elves having weapon skill 7 dragons is nice, but Dark Elves having access to giving their dragons rerolls to hit is way, way nicer. Mortis says, stream set up at table 1 or just a random table. This is a teams event. It's a teams event with 6 teams, so what we're actually getting is a round robin. So there's not so much a top table, although I will say this is 2 of the top teams. Slam Bam, Thank You Ma'am, and Renegades of Funk both doing pretty well so far. 2 of the top 3 teams duking it out in this round are looking pretty solid so far. So this is a top table of sorts, I would say. High Elves have it as well. Stormweaver used to be able to do... Oh, yeah, that's true. The Stormweaver can use it. So The problem with the Stormweaver is if you go double dragon at 2,000 points, you can't also fit in a caster with dark magic. Whereas Dark Elves can go double dragon, take dark magic if you want, or you can go for the Doomfire Warlocks and cast Battle Lust that way. Frenzy on the dragons, send in the dogs. And by dogs, I mean dragons. Tizzy says, thoughts on Demigryph Knights? I think they're great. I just don't know that this meta suits them super well. They went from not being able to deal with dragons to still not being able to deal with dragons, not loving being shot by Cathay. Multiple Wounds doesn't like cannons, and there's a lot of cannons in the meta at the moment. And they do pretty okay into ranked up infantry, but they don't quite do enough, I think, is the problem. I like them. I think Empire wants to lean more towards guns, unfortunately, at the moment. So hopefully we see some changes, even if it's just next edition, to the point where Empire are quite happy to send buses of Demigryph Knights running around. Looks like the dice camera may have frozen, so I'm just going to turn that one off for a moment, turn it back on, and then we've got the active shot here. Very good. Very, very good. It's the problem with having a shot that's stationary most of the time. You can't tell if it's frozen. Like the cheers and beers we saw, yeah. Something I love about tournaments is the just general attitude, the vibe, and how most of the time, obviously sometimes you're going to get more competitive games, but even people who are competitive often just have a great time at the tabletop. I think if we're talking like the most competitive games that I've played that have been with the most sporting opponents, I think I'd have to say Richie, give shout out to Dow After Dark. Every time we play, it's great. There's vibes are great. There's a lot of good sportsmanship in those games. But they're also some of the hardest games that I have to play in Old World, so big fan of playing against them at tournaments. Although we haven't for a while. He's too busy being Team England captain and being very successful and having a great time. God. But yeah, hopefully once we see Cathay nerfed, we'll see more of the England lads hitting singles again. I know there's very much a feeling of preferring to play teams instead of singles because you don't have to play Cathay. All right, looks like a charge there. That is the dragons going in. So, Andy's saying you don't have to roll it out because you're so close to those models that you'll be able to just get in. So that is the Forsaken hit in the flank and the front by a pair of dragons. Not a unit that is going to be around for much longer. That is guaranteed. The overrunner angle has been set up very nicely by Andy. Like I say, he's a technically proficient player. He's been playing for a long time. He's got a lot of experience. I believe he used to play in ETC. And you can really see it from the overlapping angles that he set, or rather, I should say, the lack of overlapping angles. Some nice charge baiting here. I'm not sure how aware of it Gwillem is. I think he might have fallen into the trap on the bottom side of the map, especially. Jonathan says, 5-up ward and summon? Nah, 2 dragons. 2 dragons will make light work of 6 Forsaken. In my opinion. We'll see if the maths holds true. Because there's no unit champion as well. So it's 12 attacks, even assuming there was no Battle Lust. Let's say 12 attacks, that's 8 hits, that's 6.5 wounds. On a 5-up save, 4 saved on average. But then you've also got the average of 7 stomps as well. They should die a pretty likely chance to die anyway. Should make light work. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I am looking at that giant spawn and noticing that it is well on its way to just get past where it needs to go. A good roll on it previously. Gwillem getting aggressive with the Harpies here, getting up into the middle of the board, looking, I think, maybe to take control of the objective, although perhaps not, because it's not a core unit to score them. So maybe just staging to try and bring some models in. Oh, excellent. I did think that he had charged after he cast the spell. But it looks like instead of charging, he's just going to play it more safe with the Cold One Knights and move them backwards. I think that's definitely the correct choice. They would have that very expensive Cold One bus would have been not long for this world if they had gone away. Jonathan says, should, but it's a dice game. You're 100% right, Jonathan. Here's the thing. Dragons are so consistent. If you get their attacks and their stomps, which obviously is a thing that we don't get all of the time now, that's where they can put in large amounts of damage. Nice and cagey. There's, I mean, I'm rating the Warriors of Chaos so far. This is looking pretty solid for them. Obviously, as I said, I do feel like the Dark Elf player has the advantage in terms of list, but the positioning is crispy clean from Andy. I'm liking it. Let's have a look. I was going to have a look before, but I think I got distracted by something going on in the game. Let's have a look at the matchups here that we've got. So if we go into the match that we're watching, Slam Bam Thank You Man versus the Renegades of Funk. On one table, we've got Orcs and Goblins versus Demons of Chaos. And remember, this is Renegades, so the Demons just get the ward save all of the time, which makes them a little bit beefier. We've got Dwarves versus Skaven, which should be a very interesting matchup, because Skaven want to go around and try and crack you with that Death Star. Dwarves love a Death Star. The Dwarves will fight you all day with a Death Star. I think I take Dwarves over the Skaven in that matchup. Although, if Nick plays at KG, which, I mean, Team France's captain, he does know what he's doing, I think it might be very difficult for Tom to score a lot of points out of it. So it could be a very close 10-10. We've also got High Elves into Lizardmen, and this one's going to be interesting. I just need to very quickly remind myself, what is in the High Elf list? It's one dragon and a griffin, right? Oops. I'm not submitting points there. I'm just looking at how the score went. So we've got double dragon. Okay. Double dragon and a griffin. Reavers, Silverhelms, Archers, Dragon Princess Sky. Yeah. I think list-wise, Andrew has the edge here. However, I will say that Pip is definitely a very good player. Knows Lizardman inside out. Is playing Renegade Lizardman, so should do well. Any top teams even have Heavy Cav in them? Heavy Cav should have 2 wounds for that many points, or a +1 ward save. I don't know. I don't like the concept of a 2 wounds on Heavy Cavalry. I feel like it takes away from what should be a game that is lower in damage but higher in, like static combat res and stuff. I feel like when it's that hard to chip through the cavalry, it becomes a little bit like we were already in a very cavalry heavy meta prior to 1.5. I'm tell you what, while I'm talking, I'm just going to go to the full screen here so you can see better. So we were in a very cavalry-heavy meta, and I still think cavalry is very good because Swift Stride is a fundamentally broken mechanic in that it is too good versus the other armies. Ooh, here we go. This is looking to me like we've got some dragon combat. Lots of red dice, and then some other dice as well. Unless it's... Nope, never mind. It's crossbowmen, doing very little. So that was, I think, the Dark Riders shooting into the giant spawn. No wounds done. And let's see if the ones on the hill can actually do anything. I think I would have liked to have seen a pivot to bring a few more models in line of sight. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that is wrong. But a good, another good couple of fistfuls of dice, which Dark Elf repeater crossbows they're the tracer fire. You light up your opponent with the intent of making your opponent scared and showing where the bullets should go, even if they don't go there. They are the las guns of Old World for sure. Look how many shots he got there. That's a lot of hits. Or this might be another set of hit rolls. Looking for sixes. 1. Oh, nope, these are more hits. He is getting a lot of shots here. Just heard them outside of the headphones. They lost count of the amount of hits done so far. That was the last few shots there, and now we're just looking for the wounds. Single wound. AP1, so still got a 5-up, a 6-up armor save, and then a 5-up regen. Oh, brutal. Always a shame to see the dice roll that way around. Whenever I pass or fail an armor save on like a 5 when I've got a 6-up armor save, it does feel pretty rough. Excellent. So a single wound done to the giant spawn there, and that should take us to the end of the shooting phase. I don't think there's really anything else that we can do in terms of shooting. Moving to combat, it looks like the 2 dragons are going to be picking up those Forsaken, or maybe Jonathan's right, and we're going to be ending in a hilarious situation where there's 1 model left. Honestly, I'd be okay with that if I'm Gwillem. I'm not worried about being charged on anything in Andy's list. This is the Dragon Slaying Sword going into infantry. So 3 wounds, but no AP there. So odds on that 1 dies. Passed an armor save on the Forsaken. Passed a ward save. 1 dies. There we go. The classic. Single Forsaken dead. However, that was just the aperitif. We now have 2 dragons here. Very nice. Pulling them just because different base sizes. Making it easy there. That was what the swapperoo was. Oh, the sorceress is making her attacks first. One of the only models in the army that gets to use the murderous rule, which is pretty fun. I think in Renegades they do get to use it on other things, but she gets 2 hand weapon attacks that'll hit on 4s and wound on 5s. So both hits so far. I find my sorceress does a surprising amount of damage. Sometimes when I don't want to, like in challenges. That is a wound. A failed save there, and then a ward save. Okay, so we have it here, folks. A Dark Elf Sorceress is as good as a Dark Elf Prince in terms of actually doing damage to Forsaken. Those 2 wounds do make it, so it's basically impossible for the Forsaken to survive into the next round of combat. He says, setting up the second act in the comedy show. I'm just going to put my mug on the other side here so Lewis can walk past and maybe intuit that I'd quite like another cup of tea, but not enough to send him a message. It's because the prince is only there to protect the dragon. That is true, and he does a good job of it. Which is why, you know what, I was ragging on the dragon slaying sword. The more I look at it, I'm like, maybe there's something there, Willem. Maybe you've got something there. All right, this is the battle-lusted dragon, by the looks of things. A lot of wounds. 5-up save on those. I reckon that we're taking them just off this. Oh, I forgot that they have a bite. It's been a while since I've used the 2 damage bite, which is usually a liability because it doesn't have any AP, it just has armor bane. Saved by the 5-up armor save of the Forsaken. Jonathan says the battle lust did it. Well, I respect that, Jonathan. There was still a whole other dragon to swing, and the stumps. So I think we might have been okay. But you are right, it is a dice game. It could have been more swingy. Could have been more swingy. Okay, so this turn, I think, has gone well for Gwillem. Not taking the charge bait there, although moving his unit 2 inches backwards instead of pivoting to try and get out of there. I know he got charged by the Dragon Ogres, but like I'm a little worried about what's going to happen on that bottom side of the map. I don't know how he's going to get around that Chaos Lord. Elmer says, seeing so many chat questions, but can only dip in and out while TOing, trusting you to answer. Yeah, absolutely. No expectation there for you to answer. See you later, Jonathan. If you're watching, Lewis, I'd love another cup of tea. At your convenience. No rush, no rush. Let's see if he sent any more pictures. He has sent more pictures. All right, we'll get to the end of this turn. Looks like the first dragon tested to overran, in a decent direction. Although I would like to see it test restrain afterwards and maybe face more towards the center of the board and not care if it gets charged in the rear or the flank by the models that are near it. Then having the other dragon test restrain would be good as well. It's a little bit quieter in the hall for Game 3 for some reason. I guess people have run out of energy a little bit, but what that does mean is I can hear the players just a little bit. Again, I haven't got the mics set up yet, but I have been able to just hear the occasional word here and there, so it's helping me keep track on what's going a little bit more. So that was the role for start of turn, I believe, where we're moving the objective closer towards the Chaos player. He'd have charged with the cold ones, I couldn't have helped myself. We'll beat that out here. Godo says they're more focused. Yeah, that could be it. Game 3 is when it starts. Well, I guess in singles it's where it starts to ramp up. If you're winning all your games, round 3 is the first time that you're not likely, but you're near guaranteed to play someone who is of a higher skill level. So that's something that you do want to keep in mind. Just waiting to see if there's anything else to round out this turn. I don't know who that was. There's just a picture of someone in the chat. And you're going to make any appearances in the US? Probably not next year, I wouldn't think. Any international travel I want to do is, assuming that once the Team Netherlands or the Dutch Lions event is over in December, I'm going to reapply for the role on Team England. And assuming I get that, all the international travel that I'll be doing will be, related to Team England there. Looking to go to WTC in September next year. But maybe the year after that. It would be nice to get some more international events on. The problem is I'm at the start of making this a career, which means that, it's tighter to make things work. So as much as I'd love to just travel the world, plus, this game's a niche of a niche, so I'm not sure I'll ever be in a position where I can have my own personal private jet or anything like that. Uncle Pumps, thank you so much. This is great fun. I love getting to sit here and talk about Warhammer. I'm not 100% sure who that is on the dice cam. I'm assuming that it's someone that I should recognize, but it's just a little bit blurry. Plebiscite says, I'm always guaranteed to play someone of a higher skill level. Yeah, Chris says, Steve won all 3 games. Won his first 2 games pretty convincingly, and then game 3, the other team, I think it's just a drop for today. I think they're back for round 4, but he decided magnanimously as the team captain to just not play the game so that his team gets to play more games, which is very nice. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. All right, measuring out for some charges. I'm assuming that Andy's going to be taking a little bit of a thinking phase. So what we're going to do is let me just go into these pictures that I've been sent again. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Let's have a look here. So this is a frankly terrifying army. Vampire counts versus demons, I guess this one must be. No, is that demons? There's a dragon in the backfield. What are we looking at here? Is this Warriors of Chaos? Let's have a look. What are we seeing here? This looks very chaosy, so I think it must be a Warriors of Chaos list with a Bloodthirster on a bigger base to be used as a dragon. We've got some Chaos Knights in the center there. Yeah, this looks to me like a Warriors of Chaos list, I think. Very nice. And then facing off against Vampire Counts as well. We've got a nice glamour shot of some more Boar Riders. If you're playing Nomadic War this tournament and you're not Peter, it's going to be difficult for you to stand out in the crowd, which is a shame because these are really nice models as well. Some good shading on the shields there. Do like those. I'm just a huge fan of the Boar Boy models. Big fan. Wow, that is a big beastie. I'm assuming that's a Tarask, the D&D monster. Some very, very beefy Warriors of Chaos there. We've got another dragon. This is the Tomb King's list with I believe the Tomb King on dragon and double Necrosphinx, but only one dragon in this one, if I'm remembering correctly. We've got another nice action shot there of the game that we've got in progress. Very cool. Nomadic while making contact into High Elves, amazing. I love Swordmasters. I hope that we get an Arcane Journal like the Trace one for Hoeth, where we can take Swordmasters in core. I'm slamming that all day, every day. I'm going to be playing so many games with that if we do. I love Swordmasters, and I genuinely think if they were core, they'd be super usable. This is a real Monster Mash game. My God. Look at that. Necrosphinxes. Oh, no, that's a Winged War Sphinx. Very nice. Winged War Sphinx, couple of dragons. Good stuff there. Empire into Bretonians. Those Outriders did not want to get caught. Although it looks like they had some good success on the stand and shoot before anyone else got in. More shots of the Undead on Chaos Violence. And then finally we've got some Mangler Squigs going into the Demons. Oh, very nice. That is... Demons are beefy enough to not care all too much about the Mangler Squig and the boss on the giant cave squig as well. So good stuff there. Let's go back to the game here. Okay. Oh, amazing. I didn't even ask, but Lewis has managed to get spells for us. So, when we were previously asked, the spells that we have for the Cold One Sorcerer, Demonic Vessel, Demonic Vigor. He's typed Vessel twice, but I'll let him off because I didn't even ask him for those. He's just done it off his own back. Good man. So, Demonic Vessel, Demonic Vigor on the Lore Familiar Cold One Sorceress. Makes sense. Word of Pain, Soul Eater, Infernal Gateway, Phantasmagoria, and Blue Fire on the Wizard on Chariot, and then Hammer Hand on the Dragon. Can't be Hammer Hand on the Dragon because it's dark magic, right? I think. Maybe I'm talking about my backside. I'm surprised no one's using the old Talisman Dragon. Is that a model, Gordo? Talisman Dragon. Oh, that's cool. That's a really nice model. I like that more than the ones that came later. Oops. Trisha's old sculpt. Yeah, that's a really nice model. Although apparently when I tried to load up a picture of it on screen there, my connection is not private because I'm using a public Wi-Fi. So let's just not go to that website on the risk of all my details being stolen. Probably fine, but let's not risk it. The phone has been taken out of the movement tray, the dice tray. All right. So, we've got some charges declared. The Ogre's trying to get in, but failing their charge into the Cold One Knights. Looks like he needed probably a 6, I would think, there. That was going to be a very long charge. So that does buy some time here for Gwillem to reposition. Be interesting to see what he does with the... Yeah, I think just leaving the leaving the Chaos Knight behind the Chaos Ogres makes a lot of sense. Oh, he's declared a charge into him. Well, this should be an interesting one. This is definitely a combat that could go well for both players. Now, I think this is one that you just take on the chin and you challenge out with your unit champion. Unit champion dies, you hopefully don't lose by too much. And assuming that you remain tied up in combat, you then cast Demonic Vessel next turn and try and just grind through the Chaos Lord with lots of strength. Strength 5, AP 2 attacks. I could see that going very well. It would rely on Andy not declaring a challenge, though. Sava says, bold to charge a dragon into the Dragon Flaying Sword. That's tempting fate too much for me, yeah. I'm not sure I'd go for that myself. Especially because, in theory, the Warp 5 Dragon should lose. I guess he's turning off the ward save. But yeah, it's... I think I'd want to have more than just the dragon in there. You'd want a way to try and win that combat. But I guess the problem is, because the Warpfire Dragon can't challenge, you can't send anything else in with it unless you want it to be challenged out. Interesting. I wonder what Andy's got up his sleeve here. Those Chaos Warhounds on the back table edge still running. Only leadership 6, so it's going to be difficult for them to come back in. However, if they do run off the board, it's only 65 points, so I don't think Andy's too worried about it there. Chaos Knights coming forwards to support. They are going to be roadblocked a little bit by those Chaos Ogres. I don't know if it would have been worth going a little bit wider there, because Gwillem could definitely position so that the Ogres aren't able to make a charge and the Chaos Knights are stuck in place. Debating whether I send Lewis another request for a tea. Has anyone kept count? What was the tea count? I'll leave it half an hour before I bother him again. He's a busy man. Busy man. All right, so Chariot coming forwards. Given that the Chaos Lord is in combat with the unit of Cold War Knights, I'm not 100% sure what its target is. I guess it's going to go for the Dark Riders by the board edge. Given the angle that it's at, that could be a real problem. If enough of them die, and Blue Fire will kill Elves like absolutely nobody's business. Wounding on 3s, you're only getting a 6 save. That's not something that you want to be seeing. Oh no, it's AP2, right, Blue Fire? Getting no save. War Phoenix comments, and I saw the word comp, and I was like, oh, here we go. I don't have the energy to have a comp debate. And then I realized you meant competitive. My hope for competitive Warhammer is getting those awesome sliding rail cameras on the side of the board like some of the 40k events do. Yeah, that would be cool. I think Rob, for his stream room, is talking about putting those in, but under some wooden boards, because he's playing on a fixed, or he'll be streaming from a fixed setup. You can actually build them into the tables and not have to lug them around the country. In the context here, Chris, it's competitive. Woo. I don't know about you, but I am very much looking forward to dinner. One of the best things for anyone who doesn't go to tournaments, or doesn't go to good tournaments, one of the best things is going out as a group for food on this Saturday evening. Big fan of that. You're welcome, Chris. Looking forwards to some delicious Thai food, I'm assuming we're going to have. Although I have got a toffee crisp staring me in the face here. Little bit of a slower movement phase here, just making sure we've got everything right, which, I always feel like if you're going to spend time on anything, the movement phase is definitely the time to do it. Lots of Dark Elves just left the board. Yeah. The Blue Fire Zinch doing a lot of heavy lifting here. 6 of them dying. The fact that they haven't fled off the board is nice, because as you will have known if you've watched this channel for a while, big fan of multiples of 4. So given that there's 2 of them left now, they're not giving up any points unless they get to a single model remaining. So those Dark Riders are going to be a pain in the backside, and they are just going to full send sprint away, hopefully passing their leadership test to March, because they're going to be out of there as soon as possible. Okay, warp fire dragon into the other dragon. This is the exciting thing, I believe. Right flank seemed compromised when half the cold ones deleted. Worrisome developments. Yeah, absolutely. There's a big problem there. Got some stat checking going on. The classic. Got to make sure you're on the same page. Okay, so 2 wounds at -2. So what is going on there? Oh, this could be the cold ones. No, it can't be. Not -2. What deletes the cold ones? They took some pretty heavy shooting. Another 2, please, Vicar. More tea, Vicar. The cold ones, 4 of them died to blue fire on turn 1, which was pretty spicy. Okay, so previously had thought that dragon was the one with the dragon slaying sword. Now I'm seeing the dice being rolled. I think it might be the sorceress as opposed to the prince, which would make it a much better fight for the warp fire dragon for sure. Looks like that was an attempt at a hammer hand from the sorceress there, so not going off, although you'd have been wounding on 6s, and then it would have been a 6-up save, a 5-up ward, and a 5-up regen. Probably not going to get too much damage through. Here we go. This is the attacks from the regular dragon into the warpfire dragon. 4 hits with the normal attacks. These are the ones that you want to get through, because you've really got to break through that armor. Looking for 3s to wound. Very nice. 4 at AP2. So this is swinging the combat massively. So 3 wounds for combat res there. Obviously got a regen save as well. We're not looking to kill the dragon in combat. We're just looking to win on combat res. Blue fire beats pink fire. Yeah, it really does. Pink fire is such a terrible spell, and blue fire is such an aggressively amazing spell. Four stomps coming out of the warpfire dragon. Oh, very poor roll. Only strength 6 on the warpfire dragon as opposed to the strength 7 of a regular dragon. That is a wound taken though, so 1 wound from the stomp. Looking to see Gwillem swim back. His stomps obviously wounding on 3s instead of 2s, and going into that 4-up armor save do have the potential to grind some extra combat out, but it's looking, I think, pretty even. I think they're both on 3 wounds, so I believe, or 3 points of combat rest from wounds. I believe the Warpfire Dragon is ever so slightly ahead here. Let's see what we got. Oh, huge. 6 stomps. That's what you're looking for. If you're ever in a Dragon v Dragon combat, those stomps can really bail you out. Never mind, only a single wound. That's brutal. Cast a curse. I'm so sorry, Gwillem. I'm so sorry. I'm going to take the blame for that one. He does fail the armor save, though, so can take it on the regen, but again, we're just looking for the combat res here. So that 1 wound might be enough to swing it. Honestly, a tied combat here is fine for Gwillem. He's got so many more wounds, and there's nothing threatening him in that side of the board. I guess it must have been a tied combat there. I believe the Warpfire Dragon has 3 wounds remaining. Even in Ultimate Funk. Why are you not here? What are you doing? You could be here playing, but instead you in my stream chatting. It is Pip and Nick's team, yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to play tomorrow. All right, fine. I'll let you off. I'll let you off. 5, 6, 7. Amazing. Thank you, man. Oh, yeah. Lewis says he's got a question for the stream. Yeah. Okay, so question for the stream. Should Ginger Steve buy the fish and chip shop next to his house? Now, I'm not going to go into all of the details. I don't know how much he wants it to be talked about. But basically, he lives in a small village. He has a business opportunity. And he could go halves on the fish and chip shop that is very close to him. I said, that's dangerous, Steve. You know, owning a fish and chip shop, you'll go in and you'll get free chip butties all the time. And he says, a chip butty's like $3.50. You think that's stopping me? So we don't have to worry about his health. He's going to eat the same amount of chip butties, we're pretty certain. So there's that, which is good. I don't think he said too many. I just expressed concern for his health, owning a chip shop. Oh, Dave's not getting any audio. Oh yes, cool. It's everyone else is fine. I just looked down, sort of someone saying no audio. But yeah, so the position he's in, he's trying to go halves. The person who owns it, he's offered to buy half of it, and he does the admin side of things, and she does the training of a manager or like a worker or whatever, and then they just split the proceeds. So, what do we think? Steck says he definitely should, so he has more space to store his models. He doesn't store his models in his house. So you know what? Steck might be onto something there. He definitely does have to pay for additional storage in a capacity. Dave says no, too dangerous. Yeah, that's fair. Has a flavor, sounds like a win-win. It could go either way. It could go either way. Hospitality industry is competitive and stressful. Might be down to personality and vision in the future. He's definitely not going to work in it. This is a business investment for Steve as opposed to working in a shop. But also it is a chippy in a small village. So in terms of stressfulness, it's probably not too bad. Warp Phoenix says, I've had family members and their friends go in on chip shops and they all went bust, and that's in the East End. Yeah, but what if? Oh, yeah. Right. So you could, but it better be the best or only one in town. It is the only chip shop in town. So it's as investments go, I think it's pretty safe. Unless someone decides that they're going to make their own, like, another chip shop, which, like, good luck. I think they'll be all right. Also, this is in Yorkshire, so, you know, pretty keen on the chips. Yeah. You can pass on. Dave B says, Steve's a pinnacle specimen Warhammer athlete. Just, There was no like /S, no sarcasm tag, so we do have to take that at face value. So we can pass that one on. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I realize I have no idea what's going on in the game now. Been disconnected. Not actually disconnected, but I am disconnected from the game. Okay, getting back to it. Let's have a look here. So it looks like the combat with the Cold War Knights didn't go too heinously. It looks like a die next to the Chaos Lord in terms of wounds remaining. So I think some wounds done back. We've still got the BSB. We've still got the Sorceress. We've still got the regular standard. Yeah. So I think combat lost by the unit champion, but the rest of the unit is still there, ready to rock. I think a power scroll just got used. That would make sense. Thanks, Savas. That will be the demonic vessel trying to grind through that combat. Okay. So the Dragon Slaying Sword, you can't see it on stream because of the wing, but the Dragon Slaying Sword print is declaring a charge into the unit of ogres that's just under the flank of the Warpfire Dragon, ready to come in and provide assistance on the next round of combat if they're not dealt with. I do like that. And then it gives position for the Warpfire Dragon to be pincered, potentially. Those crossbowmen hiding as best they can. Looks to me like they're still on the hill. They're at a little bit of an angle, so I don't think they're safe. Not that they'd be safe anyway. It's a giant spawn. What am I talking about? But they are trying to get a little bit further away, but also try and get some shots into the giant spawn while they can. As predicted, those two individual Dark Riders have sprinted away, trying to make sure that they don't give up any points. It's going to be very difficult for Andy to score any points on them. He doesn't really have a list that can catch fleeing units too well, unless he basically pins in and tables his opponent. So we'll see how they go. These Doomfire Warlocks could do with not being where they are, because right now there's a risk that they're just going to get cleaved through by the Chaos Lord. The Harpies looking to get aggressive. I guess their goal is to go and try and deal with Andy taking that objective. Having the first turn here and getting aggressively far forwards and getting the The special feature that's moving around the board seems to be very strong. Doomfire Warlocks spicy, yeah. Doomfire Warlocks, I think, have a place in Dark Elf lists because they can provide Battle Lust, which is incredible on dragons and it's incredible on cold ones. It has some downsides in that you obviously always have to overrun if you're frenzied, but just like guaranteeing that you crack a unit. Cold One Knights are one of the few units in the game that have a chance of like genuinely taking Graveguard to the cleaners. And if you hit them with Demonic Vessel and Battle Lust, it's not a bad shout at all. Even if they're like buffed up in weapon skill, as long as they're not weapon skill 7, so you're hitting on 4s with everything but re-rolling, you just do a pretty heinous amount of damage there. 4 attacks on each cold one. Woo! Team Scoped Gaming. Hey, you legend, I've been inspired by that video of yours where you're trying to make Centaurs work. Nice. Gonna have a go at building a Warriors Grand Army with Skinwolves for my hammer. Skinwolves are good. Skinwolves are, like, they're not Chaos Dragon good, but Skinwolves are solid. Best Centaurs were an experiment that I kind of regretted, to be honest. But Skinwolves you should have a lot of fun with. The fact that they are, 360 line of sight is really nice. They're okay if you put characters in them. Now that it's been clarified that they don't pass on the buff, which makes sense. But now it's been clarified they don't pass on the buff that they roll. I think you don't necessarily want to join characters to them with the demonic mounts, demonic steeds. I think it's basically just, use them solo, maybe cast Battle Lust into them. That's not a bad shout. They're okay. They've got decent weapon skill. I think they're weapon skill 4, 3 attack space. You can get up to 4 with the first buff, or you can give them extra AP and Armor Bane. I think they're just a very aggressively, okay unit, and I think they're a lot of fun to play. The big downside to them is if you're taking Frenzied Core, your opponent can catch them by using that Frenzied Core to, for example, you put a dragon in front of some Berserkers, the Berserkers have to charge, you win combat because you're a dragon, you then test Restrain, turn and face the Skinwolves, get run down. And the fact that you're a 360-degree line of sight, Swift Stride unit doesn't matter as much when you can be abused in that way. So you just got to be careful with your core. That's a very good point. That rat bastard. You also don't get Lookout Sir anymore because the cavalry infantry change. That is true. Does make them a lot riskier to use, which is a little bit of a shame, because I really like what you can do with them. It's a great modeling perspective as well. I should do a Halloween army for next year, which is just werewolves and werewolves or vampires. Probably not vampires, because I'm assuming they're still going to be very, very good, and it kind of ruins the whole vibe of the, what I'm going for there. But yeah, something to think about anyway. Something to think about. I've actually lost track of whose turn it is. I think it's Gwillem's. Where is this combat? He's toughness 4. Oh, this must be the Chaos Lord. Not the Chaos Lord. The Prince. Yep, confirmed. That's the Dragon Slaying Sword attacks. So these are going into the Chaos Ogres, the chappy on top of the dragon. Predictably doing very little, a single wound only, but that's fine, because why do we bring him? We bring him for the multiple wound bite. Finally going to get a use into monstrous infantry. This is where it's best. Never mind, it misses. The one time you wish that it would hit, it misses. 4 hits from the Dreadlord and 4 wounds. And when I say Dreadlord, I mean the Dreadlord's dragon, the important bit. So 4 wounds AP2, go straight through. 5 wounds in total to the Ogres so far. A really solid start. They're going to swing back with, I guess, 1 or 2 models. Maybe. Ooh. I'm not sure what that test was, to be honest. Saves, maybe. Okay, so that was a break test. The Chaos Ogres flee, Looks like they've fled off the board, and Gwilym did roll a double 1 to test to restrain, redirecting to face into the flank of the Warpfire Dragon. That dragon is definitely not in the best shape it's ever been. However, it's taking a long time to pick up points on that side of the board, and the Giant Spawn is not necessarily going to be difficult to deal with, not going to be easy to deal with given its position. It's going to go in and try and eat some crossbowmen next turn. It is coming up to the Warriors of Chaos turn. I don't know. It still feels advantage to Andy, I think. Still feeling good about it if you're Andy in this game. House of Flavor says it's in danger. The Warfire Dragon. The Warfire Dragon's definitely in danger. I think I've got someone who might be up to come and co-stream first game tomorrow. I do have to confirm with them, but there's a good chance that we can have a second person on stream tomorrow. That'll be fun. Be nice to have a bit of banter, different vibe for each stream. The high energy of stream 2, the more relaxed stream 3, 2 people for stream 4, and then I guess we'll just go mental for game 5, see who takes all the marbles. Looked away for a second, got a pop-up on screen, which is slightly concerning. Okay, Warfire Dragon into the Sorceress. Interesting. I think I would have preferred to see it go the other way round, so the Sorceress went second. 2 wounds onto the 6-up armor save on the Sorceress. Ooh, 1 failed, and hey, a pass. What a hero. So a single wound taken so far from the Sorceress. This is an important one to track, because I want to see who wins this combat. It really needs to be a tie or a win for the Sorceress, because if the Warpfire Dragon wins, it can just test Restrain and then get the hell out of there on Andy's next turn. Lots of attacks coming in. With those rolls, there is a chance that he just kills it. Okay. 2 wounds, but one of them is multiple wounds too. Now, it is a 4-up armor save against the multiple wounds too. Oh. That's 3 damage done. Pass 1, fail 1. Oops. I guess it doesn't really matter. Again, we're not expecting the dragon to die here. Cool. So passing the regen, but that is 1 wound for the Warpfire Dragon to 3 wounds for the Sorceress. So as long as stomps don't go wildly out of control, this is favoring the Sorceress. We can tie up the Warfare Dragon and then try and finish it off on the next turn. Uh, 3 wounds on the stomps. I wonder how many wounds the Warfire Dragon has left. Can't be that many. Oh, 3 saves on the armor saves there. So we're still looking tight here. 5 wounds, 5 hits for the Warfire Dragon. This could be a problem. I know I'm talking about this one a lot, but it is very key. He needs to pass at least one of these saves. Okay, passes one of the saves. Takes another wound, but that should mean, I believe, the combat is tied, as long as my maths is correct, which it sometimes is. Looks like it. We've got a tied combat there, which means the Warpfire Dragon probably going to be going bye-bye next, not next combat, but next round when the other dragon gets to charge in as well. Very big, very big. That's a lot of points, 405 points. I think it's quite important to make sure that you're... A little bit of rules checking. How are we feeling about this one? This is, I believe, the bottom of 3. Or the top of 3, I should say. Dark Elves went first. So, still a lot of the game left to play, and I feel like And he's got a very strong position on the bottom side of the board. This looks to me like the combat with the Chaos Lord. So this should be the great weapon wielding master, hero level character for those who don't speak Dark Elves. That's a wound, only one. AP2, AP2, I don't think he got Demonic Vessel off. Does save on the save though. Would have saved even with Demonic Vessel, so doesn't make too much difference. This Ogre Blade is going to rip chunks. Oh, I wonder where the attacks are going. Maybe he's in a challenge with the BSB. That would make sense. That's why he's not splitting his attacks. Oh dear. The Master only has a 3-up armor save. No shields there, so takes D3 already. Maxes out the overkill there. Perfectly maxes out the overkill. This is a very heavily lost combat for the Cold Blooded Knights. Although, frankly, if they flee and get away, that's probably for the best. So fall back in good order. Honestly, I think he probably would have preferred a flee. But he might get away because of where the Doomfire Warlocks are, so it might buy him enough time to get out of there. Oh. And he's decided to restrain. Let's see if he can make it. Does restrain. And those Cold War Knights only 8 inches backwards, so they are not going very far. They're going to be caught next turn, but the charge by the Chaos Lord for sure. Yeah, this whole flank is crumpling. This is a little bit much. I think he just needed to send some dragons down. 1 hour remaining in the round, or something like that. I think it does 2 hours 45 rounds. Let's just double check that one. Something along those lines. I did have an update about round 2. Given that, my prediction at the end of the game was it was a 16-4 and it ended up being an 18-2, the secondary scoring was wildly out of control. So the Orcs and Goblins player got 1,000 points of secondary scoring, really just dominated on the secondary scoring, and only 150 points for the Dwarf player. Given how much core there was for the Orcs and Goblins player, makes sense, but yeah, the actual scores on the table are a lot closer, but it did shock me to see an 18-2. All right. Sorcerer is casting. I believe. I'm not sure. Hasn't done any movement, so it's not Infernal Gateway. It could be Word of Pain, but I'm not sure that's... I'm not sure what Word of Pain would go into. Everything that's on the table in range of the Chariot is pretty low toughness anyway. So it's not something that we'd be super worried about, I think. Phantasmagoria. No, it can't be Phantasmagoria. Looks like the Doomfire Warlock's about to be terror bombed, but I don't know where from. Not sure. Some multi-charges looking like they've been set up. Not 100% sure what that is in the middle of the board. Looks like some sort of dragon, but on a long base, so I'm assuming it's not a dragon. I'm consulting the chart. Nothing immediately obvious. We did get a rally there out of the Chaos Warhounds. No 65 points for Gwillem there. Reformed into a 2x5, or a 5x2 rank, I should say. So they're going to be useful for the rest of the game. Although we already have plenty of scoring units holding on to that special feature that is moving around the battlefield. Currently, top right, just behind the tower, you can see the round base there. Looking like potentially some fleeing going on. Ah, yes. Okay. So the Marauder Horsemen charging into the Harpies who have elected to flee. Taking, I think, 1 or 2 perilous tests. We'll have to see how Gwillem does on that one. Lewis is going around taking some more pictures. I will have another photo update for you very soon. In fact, he's already on it. What a top lad. Let me just set this up on the back end, and we can have another look at how the games are going across the board. And then after that, let's also have a quick look at how things are looking. In terms of scores that have been submitted, I'm thinking by this point there's going to be a few scores submitted already. So, we've got a pretty beautiful Great and Clean one. A really good model. I do dislike the size of it, so it's a little bit more difficult to actually use in an old world setting. I believe that's on the maximum base size it can be. Currently staring down Fanatics, one of the few models in the game that gives absolutely no care towards Fanatics. Toughness 7 default is just something that you are going to really struggle to get Fanatics through. Even with Itchy Nuisance, like on average you're going to be winning on what, 4s? It's still not ideal there. We've also got more Dragon v Dragon combat. Looking like the Tomb King game taking a little while to get started. Not too much actually dying there. High Elves versus Lizardmen. It is all kicking off. Bunkered nice and tight there from Pip, so it's hard for the High Elf player to use his dragons to pick off pieces with advantage as quickly as possible. Bastiladon looking pretty tasty, though. I think that Bastiladon's likely going to get charged by the the High Elf Dragon just after this photo was taken. Some nice action shots here. Look at those Doomfire Warlocks ready to receive the charge, which they have just done, as we can see on stream there. We've got another nice combat shot as well. A big dragon mess. 5 wounds taken on that Warfire Dragon. It is so close to dead. But I think the Sorceress on Dragon is probably down to 4 or maybe 5 wounds remaining. So looking very close in terms of who's going to be picked up first there. Given that there's 1 round of combat before the actual, Dreadlord manages to charge in, it could go very wrong. And that dragon could just be picked up if the roll spikes. So it's holding up, sure, it's not necessarily getting any points, but that 405-point Warpfire Dragon is holding up an entire core of a board, which is pretty terrifying. More action shots here from Lewis on the table we're looking at. Very nice. Very, very nice. All right. Let's go to the... Let's just make sure that I've got... not that one. This one. Okay. Let's see if there's anything here. Any lists submitted. Wasn't before. Refresh is taking a hot second. Any points submitted here? Oh, wow. Oh, well done, Nick. 11 win to 9 loss for Cathay into Vampire counts. Nick is one of my coaching students, so I shouldn't be biased, but if you are my coaching student, I'm definitely cheering for you to win. So doing very well there to not give up too many points in the Cathay matchup. Putting himself down as first defender by the looks of things, making it so that his team doesn't have to play into them, and hopefully we can see something like the Nomadic War picking up a lot of points into the Dark Elves there. Okay, let's get back to the big screen. Just had Lewis over to adjudicate on which direction and how the Doomfire Warlocks do flee away from them. So obviously, once you hit terrain, you've got to pivot around it and then just move as little as possible. Is that Chaos Army made out of Cold Ones and Tyranids? It is, Savas. It's really nice. In fact, let's go back to that, because I think it's going to be a little bit of a delayed movement phase. Andy does like to make sure that he's thinking through his moves, which I want to be clear is in no way a criticism and is a compliment. So let me just go back to the pictures that I've got here. Okay. Move to this thing here. So this is the sheet that Andy gives out, so you can see what everything is. So we've got some Warhounds, which are made out of Tyranid Hormagaunts, old ones. Chaos Knights, which are, converted old Cold One Riders. Dragon Ogres, which are very beefy Cold One Riders. A Warpfire Dragon, which is... I actually don't know which dragon that is. I'm not 100% sure. Marauders, which I think are just Marauders, but look kind of like Flagellants. Marauder Horseman, again looking very elfy. Wizard on a chariot pulled by an old Ravener. Gigantic Spawn, which is a Hydra. Great model for it. Ogres, which is using Ravener models for. Forsaken, which are more Hormagaunts. And then we've got a lovely Chaos Lord. So if I go and we'll look at some closer up pictures. Just a really nice army in terms of hobby. That's incredible. Yeah, it's really nice. And it's been a little while since I've spoken to Andy about it, but he has, I believe, 3 armies, and all of them can be used as 2 different armies. So he's got this army, which can be Warriors of Chaos or Dark Elves. I think he's got an Empire army that can also be used as something else. But yeah, it's a good, flexible collection to have. And then if we go back to, not this one. Not this one. Here we go. Yeah, let's get some more close-ups. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. Some really nice old classic Cold Ones. It goes to show as well that even if you're using like a wide range of models, if you have a paint scheme that ties things together, it looks really nice and cohesive. All right, let's get back to the full screen. All right. Tell you what, I've been talking a lot. Who do we reckon is going to win? I probably should have done this at the start. Warriors of Chaos? Dark Elves. Let's see how let's see where the mood takes us. How are we feeling in this matchup? Who is going to take the lead? Sava says, I think those Marauder Horsemen are Glade Riders with old Spearman bodies. Ooh, nice. That would work pretty well, actually. Now I'm slightly regretting having 24 Dark Riders already. It's not looking close. I'm going to leave that up for a while, but it is storming ahead to Warriors of Chaos. Interesting. Chaos Knights about facing. These are Frenzied Knights, so I'm assuming it's a case of not wanting to get Frenzy baited. Although I don't see a lot of risk for them. I think maybe it's a case of just forward-looking a couple of turns and wanting to make sure that Gwillem doesn't manage to get some free points by just pointing a dragon in their direction and making them charge. Gordo says, probably Warriors of Chaos victory, but hoping for Dark Elves. You know what? Me too. I'm a Dark Elf apologist. What secondaries are in play? So there is an objective which is moving around the map. One of Lewis's adapted. It's basically, if you control the objective marker that's currently top right behind the tower, if you can see the round objective marker next to the chat box, that gives you 250 points at the end of the game. But on top of that, there is domination, but you can only get 125 points per corner. Chaos Black, very good point. The winning army will definitely have have Dark Elf models in it. Spreading out here to make sure that the objective is secure. Just wanting to make sure that they don't get picked up. Dark Elves get shoved in the locker. That sounds like something a Chaos Dwarf player would say. Dragon Ogre getting aggressive up in the mid-ground, looking to try and set up a charge into those crossbowmen on turn 6, if they're still there. Looks like the Giant Spawn didn't have enough movement to get in. Up in the top left, if I just go slightly zoomed out, you can see here, Giant Spawn facing behind the hill. Obviously, the crossbowmen can see it, because they are touching the hill, or some of them can see it anyway, but reduce shots into it currently. I'm alright, thank you though. There's my my tea lady. I didn't hear. Now I just feel mean. Forsaken moving forwards, just closing the net there. There is quite a lot of points tied up in the backfield. So there's about 85 for that unit of warriors. There's about just shy of 200 on the unit of Dark Riders. So call it 250 conservatively. But then we've got the remainder of the unit of Cold One Knights and the Sorceress, which that is a lot of points. So there's the better part of 1,000 points in that back corner to pick up. Probably closer to 750, 800. Chaos Black says, you must be shattered after a day of just sitting on your throne, sipping tea and judging others. I wish that was true. So my day was, I didn't get to sleep early, which is, you know, that's fine. It is what it is. My sleep schedule is I normally go to sleep at about 2 in the morning because I do a lot of work in the evenings, so I like having some time to unwind afterwards. However, when I'm here for a tournament, that my body clock it won't just adjust in one day, so I struggle to get to sleep. So I got about 4.5 hours sleep, which is fine. I'm a big boy. I can deal with that. It's what it is. But then got here at about 25 past 7. Spent 2 hours trying to get the stream working. It wouldn't. Very frustrating. I was losing my mind. And then I walked half an hour into town. There was nothing here because Saffron Walden is tiny. Then I got an Uber to the station because Saffron Walden's so small it doesn't have a train station. Then from the train station I waited 27 minutes for a train. Got that train to... I always want to say Coventry. It's not Coventry. Cambridge. Got the train to Cambridge. Took about 25 minutes. Then went to CEX. So cycled around. Got a rent bike. That was nice. That boosted my mood. Cycled to CEX in town. Bought this. That's off stream. I'm not going to move it in case it breaks something. Capture card. So then cycled back. Got the train back. Got an Uber back. So it's been a pretty full-on day. Okay, that was a 666, and I just missed the context of what we're looking at here. Oh, this is the Warpfire Dragon. Oh, this is big. That dragon must... Okay, I've just heard. The Sorceress and Dragon has 1 wound left, so it's already giving up points. This is not a good situation to be in. There is a risk that it just dies to something incidental. This is not looking good. Moving is such an exact part of the game when playing Warhol. On the tabletop, they can be just close enough and it works fine. Yeah. Oh, so the hammer... Oh, it was the hammer hand that did 3 wounds. Failed armor save there. So the Sorceress and Dragon has fallen. It looks like the Dragon is attacking back at the same initiative step. Both initiative 4, I believe. 3 wounds back. So both Dragons might fall over here. Regen on 5. Okay. So I think both Dragons died there. It's exploding time. It's a blaze of glory. Warpfire Dragon. What's it hitting? Looks to me like it's hitting the Marauders. Gonna hit a lot of stuff in that area. Those of you who don't know, Warpfire Dragon... Oh! That was a 6 on the dice to hit the I think Dark Riders, or whichever model over there. So 6 models die. Someone says Warpfire is going to explode and get it. Warpfire is exploding, getting everything. Ooh. That was the Dark Riders. The Gwillem had moved up to try and support. That is very unfortunate. Two wounds. I think that was 2 wounds into the Dragon, but looks like one of them saved on the armor save there. Oh, no, never mind. This is the Dragon. Five up save here. Discussion being had over whether you get the ward save against the explosion of the Warpfire Dragon. Oh. So much for the sticky tape that I put on the back there. Poor showing. Warfire Dragon picking up a lot of points. I think it killed most of the harpies that were over there as well. That is pretty brutal. And now we just have a Dreadlord on Dragon that's facing in a way that's kind of not able to do anything. Looks like that Chariot has positioned itself with Infernal Gateway to be out of charge distance. It's very exactingly positioned. You can see there's a vision gauge there as well to make sure. I think it's going to be really difficult for Gwillem to pull points back into this. This is pretty brutal. Looks like they are moving the objective here. Moving it 3 inches in the direction of Andy's choice because he controls it currently. I think here, especially because it's teams, in singles you always try and go for the win, in my opinion. Unless, you know that it's round 5 and going for a draw will get you the tournament or whatever. But I think as long as a win is important, go for the gamble, try and get the win. In teams, it's a completely different beast. This is something where you definitely want to be trying to save as many points as possible. I'm just going to have a quick check, see if any of the other rounds have been finished. How important is this game? How important is this game for the round? Because if it's a 20-0, that's going to significantly swing things. In a 4-player team format, a single 20-0 can absolutely throw the round. We are looking at no scores submitted so far. This is... Oof. Who knows how this is going? Oh. Slightly quite a time. Good time to point out. If you're not in the Discord, come on down. There's loads of us now. I think there's over 1,000 people, coming up 1,100 in terms of the number of people who are on the Discord. Hill's doing what they do best, knocking over models. We're not going to roll any dice for a little while, so let's just go big screen here so we can see a little bit better. But yeah, come on down to the Discord. If you're interested in coaching, please do check out patreon.com/close order. Should be in the description there. If you want to be coached by someone who's part of the Team England squad, albeit not there in person, I do want to make clear. Yeah, have been coaching for a while. People seem to be pleased with it. God, that's such a terrible plug. I kind of just ran out of words halfway through that one. Definitely the 4.5 hours sleep and the stress of this morning have wiped me out a little bit. Looking forward to getting a good night's sleep tonight and then being able to come back at it with renewed vigor. Lewis says, buy Warpfire. Yeah, absolutely. That Warpfire dragon is gone. Done and also dusted. Have I moved my screen the wrong way? I have, yeah. I must be. Am I mirrored? No. Okay. I'm not sold on this. Looks to me... Yeah, so he's going to send the dragon over to try and deal with those marauders. The problem with chasing skirmishers is they're just too able to get out of vision arc. I mean, you can be march blocked, and marauders don't have a great march movement, but it just feels like such a risky play to go for. That said, this is only a 5-round game. I'd forgotten this is a 5-round game. That's a big difference. That could be all of the difference, in fact, because we're potentially not going to see enough turns for the dragon to go out and make a difference. Is that dragon model sideways? It is the Calming Dragon, I believe. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate the support. Tell you what, while it's a little bit quieter, let me just see if I can... apply your role there. Thank you for support. You now have access to the VIP sections on Discord. Which, if you'd also like access to the VIP sections on Discord, you can become a member at Longbeard tier or above. And opens up the VIP sections on Discord, where conversation is had and mocking of me and Lewis is also had. Thank you, Old World Jathuda. I think that's a resub. Appreciate that. I've definitely seen your name pop up more than once. Have we had any more updates from Lewis? Nope, that's entirely reasonable. He's a busy man. I've got to be careful what I say because I know he's been listening in, so I've got to, pretend to be a reasonable person. I can't see him. I got to make sure that he's walking around if I'm going to trash talk him. All right, coming into Gwillem's turn, looking like we're just trying to salvage some points here. Those Cold One Riders, very, very able to not get caught. The only way that they will get caught is if they... the only way they'll get caught is if they fail a stupidity test next turn, basically. If you don't want to be tanked by the Cathay bus, get yourself a coach. I will help as much as I can. I will teach you how to lose gracefully into Cathay. Grow Dirikigo, win the game. I think we may... flip the table. That is, well, I'd rather not, just because the stream setup could get quite heavily damaged, and that'd be sad. Those shades finally coming on, taking their sweet time. That is the big problem I have with ambushes, but they are in a good position to really rip those warhounds to shreds. Now, shades, for those who don't know, these are the special infantry for, like the special ranged infantry, I should say, for Dark Elves. They've got ballistic skill 5. So they're going to be hitting here on 4s with the repeater crossbows, which is not too shabby at all. As well, Has he given them additional hand weapons? So they are really, really keen at killing, toughness 3 chaff without any saves. Yes, I have applied your role as well, Chris. Thank you very much. Back into the dice rolling stage here. Thank you very much.
I have a question. Is it worth getting a Wood Elf Battalion box to start with a character model or individual boxes?
That's a great question. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure you get the infantry, the horses, and that's it, isn't it? Okay, sorry, Lewis is here. I wanted to make sure that he didn't need me for anything. I was worried that something had gone wrong. You weren't listening to the stream, were you? I definitely wasn't talking trash about you. No, I wasn't. I was going to say I wasn't because I know you've been tuning in. So I did say, I sort of leaned over and was like, I have to wait until he's not paying attention. Yes. That is the downside. Yeah, so in terms of Wood Elves are an army that has struggled for the last sort of year, basically since their competitive build got nerfed. They have definitely struggled. So it's a hard, like, I'm always a little reticent to recommend them, especially if it's a first army. I don't know how much you've played, Izzy, but if you're a newer player, which the reason I say that is people who generally ask for opinions on whether the boxes are good typically tend to have played less of this game, even if they're experienced wargamers. So if it's an army that you want to start with, it is a harder learning curve than it would be. So in terms of the contents of the box, if you're dead set on playing Wood Elves, if you're playing in like a not super competitive format, like if you're playing with a play group that maybe doesn't play Cathay, doesn't play all of the stuff that's really good, yeah, I think it's a pretty solid box. I don't like the infantry. Here's the thing. There's only one Wood Elf player that I'm aware of, Irek, who is doing well with them pretty consistently. And Irek plays a big unit of the Wildwood Rangers, which I look at and I say, what? But he's been doing well with them, so maybe there's something there. You're a new player for the old world. Okay, I would say maybe consider a different army to start with. The vibes are immaculate. Wood Elves are an incredibly, like, the models are great. I love the fluff. I love the styling of them, but they're just a little bit. They really struggle to get things done. You've got to work twice as hard, and if you're learning the addition as well, it's a harder one to go with. If your heart is set on it, though, it's not a bad box to go for. You can make Wild Riders and Sisters of the Thorn. Wild Riders are better than Sisters of the Thorn at the moment. The Glade Guard are very good, and then also the other infantry, I'm not super sold on, but, unit fillers for archers, if you're taking archers in units, or, even if you do take them as the ranked up models, they're not bad. Eternal Guard, Best Guard. Wildwood Rangers crush Graveguard. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Join High Elves, we have Robes, Wines, and Dragon. Yeah, High Elves are in a much better spot. High Elves are still like a very middle table army, but they've got a lot more reliability baked into their profile. Also, if you like Wood Elves, here's the thing. If you like Wood Elves, the Trace detachment for High Elves is very good. The Woodsmen are basically just souped up really good Wood Elves. They bring their own wood. They have strength 4 bows. They don't have magic arrows, but they've got great weapons as well. And they've got, 4-up save against enemy shooting. I think they're really, really solid in terms of trace. And that's probably what I would make the infantry into. But that's a really good point in terms of the Wildwood Rangers crushing Graveguard. I hadn't considered that. That's a really, really smart thing that he's noticed. Let's just have a quick look at the Wildwood Rangers, because they get extra attacks and damage, I think, against Graveguard, right? So if I just go to... Oops, let's not delete that. That would have been a silly. Okay, Wildwood Rangers. They've got Guardians of the Wildwood. I'm pretty sure this is the rule. In base to base, with an enemy model that causes Fear or Terror, gains +1 modifier to its attacks and multiple wounds too. That ruins Graveguard. Okay. Okay. Might have to give those another look. That's interesting. High Elves, best Wood Elves rules. Sad day. Yeah, it is sad. Mark says, just tuning in because of night shifts. Question, is it possible to take the live stream back? Yes. YouTube is fantastic for that. You can just rewind it to any point. Twitch is obviously a lot less good at watching back, but I think they have functionality for that now. But in terms of streams, I would say this one's been good. I've really enjoyed this game. It's been a little bit more chill. I will admit that my lack of sleep has made it so I'm a little bit less energized towards the second half of this game. But I would say if you're looking to just watch back, the first game that I played, that was played earlier, the Orcs and Goblins versus Dwarves, was a very exciting game. And I think we had a lot of fun on stream as well. So I'd watch that one back if you wanted to go back to the start. Johnny says, do Graveguard have 2 wounds apiece or something? No, but. They've got multiple wounds. They've got a regen save. So if you're passing one 5-up regen, you pass it a third of the time. If you have to pass both 5-up regens, it suddenly becomes a 1 in 9. So you go from a 33% chance to like an 11% chance. Basically, you're reducing the chance of them surviving by a third. And if they choose to take both regen saves, they take, it counts for 2 for combat res. Now, that is how I've had it explained to me by a TO. I have not looked deeply into multiple wounds on single wound models with regen, but I think that's how it works. The person who explained it to me is a competent player, and it was how they were running their event. So I'm assuming that's correct. But yeah. Adam says means the regen on 5+ needs both to save. Cool. I'm being co-signed on that one. Very nice. Regens are an optional, I'm pretty sure. Regeneration. Let's have a look here. Yes, immediately after a wound is lost, but before models with 0 wounds remaining are removed from play, a model with this special rule may make a regeneration save. So it's an optional save. I don't believe any other save is optional, but they are specifically worded as optional there. I thought multiple wounds simply didn't do anything versus a wound 1 model. Cool, though. There was something about that in an FAQ, and I believe that's been removed. Ed says the same. Adam says, could be wrong. No. You agree with me, Adam. So we're right. Don't worry about it. You're reconsidering taking all your regen saves now, Age of Thulu. Reconsidering. All right. I've zoned out, but it's looking to me like we've got some Dark Riders fleeing from a Dragon Ogre. Just trying to get out of there, not wanting to give up points. The Dragon Ogre is chasing them. I think this might be coming into the final turn of the game, though. We are looking at the last I believe, last 20 minutes of the game. I think it's doors shut by 7. Is that correct? Maybe I'm talking about my ass. How long have we been streaming for? 2 hours? Yeah, it must be 7:15 is the official end time, but I'm not sure that it will go to that. Those warriors are not going to know what hit them. That Chaos Lord with Ogre Blade is going to go snicker snack. Oh, frabjous day. Even though even though my dice tray has been attached by 6 pieces of double-sided, not tape, but double-sided pads, it still managed to slide over and be slightly out of screen there. That's fine. Most of the dice are going to be in the center. Fix it for tomorrow. Mad Cat Ultra started collecting Slaves to Darkness, Warriors of Chaos, and one thing I noticed in both is they both really love their massive point Death Star unit. Is there anything you could recommend going for going wide with them? As in, you mean not playing Death Stars, do you mean? Warriors of Chaos, the sort of like main build I see at the moment is usually going to be double dragon in character, and then either a Warpfire Dragon in rare and double gigantic spawn. That's a lot of what you're going to be seeing. Gigantic spawn of Nurgle. And then into core, because you're more likely to go for dragons, and the dragons that you'll see people going most of the time is double exalted champion, both of them with a regen save. So they are only T5. The gigantic spawn not quite making the gap there, looking like it's 1 inch out. That is a little bit rough. Gigantic spawn not going to eat those crossbowmen today, and like I said, this may be the final turn. Super chat controlled pinball bumpers on the dice tray for day 2. That'd be amazing. That'd be so funny. Wait for the new Marauders to come out and go crazy with them. What, in terms of the dragons? Yeah. Yes, the Dark Chalice Shaggoth is good. I like the Dark Chalice Shaggoth more for teams. I think in singles it's fine, especially if you're expecting to see a lot of Trace. It just gives you a little bit more play into them. But realistically, in a singles environment, you're paying a lot of points for something that you might not get a matchup into, which is fine. You know, it's a relatively efficient unit. You're paying nearly 300 points for like an okay monster that can still put some pressure down and still hold its own in combat, but it's not the most exciting in singles, in my opinion. I think it's really a team's build more than anything else. You know what I haven't done? I haven't plugged my phone into charge. That was foolish of me. Very, very foolish. I forgot to take my... when I was setting up last night, I forgot to take my charging cable home. Ooh, what are we looking at here? I'm sure I heard Hammerhand, but I think the Hammerhand is gone. So we've got a spellcast and a 7, which is Phantasmagoria. Very nice. I'm always underwhelmed when I see Phantasmagoria, but then again, it does have the potential. And Warhammer is a dice game, and things can go very wrong with leadership for sure. What are we looking at here? This could be blue fire. -3, -2. Sounds like it. Oh, nope. Okay. This is the Chaos Lord going into the Warriors. Looks like that was all of them. Soaked by the unit champion. He has maxed out the overkill there. A whole lot of combat res. So that's a 9. Ooh, they're breaking and fleeing. That is unfortunate. A 9 on the dice is not bad. And only a 7 on the dice for the Chaos Lord. So those Warriors do make it out of there to live a little bit longer. Not all that much longer. They are going to, but depending on how many turns there are left in the game, potentially there to get caught. What camera am I using to stream? So currently, I'm using the crappy webcam up here, the one that I'm looking at, the one that has been freezing on stream. So I replaced that, and the camera that I've got on the dice tray is a Logitech, I think it's G920, whatever. If you just Google best budget webcam for like streaming, that's the one to go for. It's, I think, like 50, 60 quid. It's a good piece of technology, very solid there. And then the camera that I've got looking down at the table is one of 2 Sony ZV-1Fs, which is a really nice, really solid camera. They both run, well, they run at about 400, 450 quid, so it's a big investment. to pick up if you're looking to do something like this in terms of trying to get streaming. You could probably do it with something a lot cheaper, but this, obviously getting great quality from the top down is really important because that's the main focus of the stream. Okay. So the Dark Riders have rallied. Looking like perhaps a stupidity test there as well. Might be cool to have a mic you can turn on for the game you're streaming, or two that you pin to the lad's shirt so we can snoop in the game to scratch it. I 100% agree. What I've got here is some really, really nice microphones. The DJI Mic 2. They're great. They come in a very cool little case here, as you can see. I am struggling to get them to work. I'm going to try and get them to work for Game 4 tomorrow because I would love to have players mic'd up. That would be incredible. But for now, unfortunately, we are micless. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the support. Are you on Discord? I don't know if I've seen your username pop up, but if you are, do post in the Needs Role channel, and I will make sure to apply your role on there. The goal is, I've got a Stream Deck. Oh, it's plugged in. I can't move it. I've got a Stream Deck, which I do actually need to download the software before. That's why it's not doing anything. Given that everything else has gone wrong, I've just been like, let's get the essentials working and move on to everything else after that. So I've got a Stream Deck, just one of the small, like, 6-button ones, and I'd like to be able to have the ability to mute the audio for the stream with the press of a button, so I can very easily key them in where in sort of downtime, and then when it's not, I can talk without having it talking over. There we go. Download the Steam Deck software. I'm trying to sign me up for their mailing list. I don't care. I don't care. Realized that I left the poll running, so we were at a 78% Warriors of Chaos and 22% Believers of Dark Elves. Now, a lot has happened since I put that poll up, including, the death of a dragon, but it's nice to see some Druchii Believers. Champion not doing very much there. Looking like some shots coming out. Oh, this is the repeater crossbows. Looking to try and desperately do something to the giant spawn. I guess they're not getting away. That is the problem there. Huh. I don't have the voltage on. Little bit of a mic test there. Does that make a difference to how I sound now that I've pressed a button that I was told emphatically was very important for me to have turned on? Which hasn't been turned on for the last 5 hours of broadcast. Hopefully it sounds exactly the same and it didn't make a difference, but I guess we'll see. No difference. Amazing. Amazing. I'm very pleased to hear that. It's probably more important if I have the second headset plugged in, which, again, hopefully for Game 4, I will have someone who was with me. You sound handsomer, or you flirt. Those Marauders. Oh. The camera seems to have stopped working. Give me 2 seconds. I will be back. Okay, so the camera seems to have done a thing that it shouldn't have done. So that's a frozen picture. Let me. This is going to make the picture go away. So I'm hoping that it does come back. If I unplug, replug, like so. I'm going to try and deactivate and then reactivate. Has that fixed it? It has fixed it. Amazing. I was worried that we were just going to have no camera there. Perfect. Perfect. I've just come back and I've noticed Chaos Black chirking up in the chat. How dare you? So now all cameras have stopped working at some point. Yeah. But I think that might be more just the software as opposed to the hardware. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Why is it that all weapon upgrades are two-handed? Can we have a few one-handed upgrades that can be used? Axe, Falchion, Battle Axe, Mice, Morningstar, Warhammer. I'm sure there have been... Is it? No, I think I'm combining this with D&D in my head as to different rules for different weapons. Teething issues, but face for you. Great for your first stream at Live for a Game. Thank you. Yeah, I'm surprised at how smoothly it's gone post all of the issues. It's been a lot of fun to do. I was worried that it would be a struggle, but I'm having a good time with it, which is nice. And I think the plan will be whenever Lewis does one of these events, as long as I'm able to come down and stream. And what I might do is do one event where I play and I stay on table 1 and just have 5 people play against me. Obviously, it's a tournament, but like have 5 people play against me on stream. That might be the way to do things. A little bit more difficult with that one, just in case someone doesn't want to play on stream, then it becomes a little harder. I appreciate that, Chaos Black. Thank you. People have been lovely today. It's been a real pleasure to sit, talk to chat, talk about the games a little bit. The problem with Warhammer is there's not a huge amount to talk about, so it'll be much easier for me to keep up to it when I can hear what the players are saying. But it has been a lot of sort of like do a bit of podcasting, talk about the game where it's relevant, all that good stuff. Stack says, I'm worried with the heavy spears for the new Mountain Marauders. We start seeing more faction sword weapons with different stats for the same weapon in different factions. Yeah, that's true. It's true. You can need a good-looking co-host next time for Eye Candy. Lewis was welcome to sit in whenever he wanted. I do probably need to remind him of that. But he is walking around TOing, so it's a little bit like... I know I said that it was nice and cozy in here. Cozy does translate to fucking small, so... It's a little bit of a hassle to squeeze in and out. But yeah, Lewis can be the good-looking eye candy. Potential. What I am impressed by is the camera hasn't overheated and also is still, hasn't drained battery. I've got it plugged into charge, but I was worried that it wouldn't charge fast enough because the cable I've got is only a 6-amp cable because I need something that's super long, and I didn't realize that the one that I bought was cheap. Well, I knew it was cheap, but I didn't realize that it was cheap and bad. I'm just going to reach over here and plug in my phone to charge properly, because right now it is going up at 1% every 10 minutes plugged into my PC. All right, there we go. That's better. That is better. Those Chaos Knights having to declare a charge into the Shades because they are within frenzy range. So we'll see if they get there. It's only a 16-inch charge. I was hoping for the Dowie After Dark end of the scale, but I'm sure Lewis will do. Yeah. One of the problems with Warhammer stuff is it it doesn't pay super well. People have been super generous throughout today, and I appreciate that. But like, if you look at the actual economics of, in terms of someone coming down, if I wanted to bring someone with me for the stream, I'd have to pay for them to have a room, realistically pay for their travel as well, and then ideally on top of that also pay them a wage. But you know what this is going to make over the weekend. Again, people have been super generous, and I really appreciate that. But it doesn't even cover. It doesn't cover a hotel room. This is something to do because it's enjoyable. So it becomes a bit more difficult to get more people involved, unless they live locally. But because the event's in Saffron Walden, there's more limited people that I could get in. That said, there are probably a couple of people that I could maybe tap up who live locally to Saffron. Who knows? Who knows? Cheeky bunk bed at the venue? Well, I mean, I am streaming in the cupboard, so if we just take all of the chairs out... Oh, yeah, you can't see. Hold on. This is going to risk breaking the camera, but let me just turn this around. So... Oh, no, I can't. It's sticky tacked on. God damn it. Oh, I'll just peel off. Whatever. I don't care. So this is the venue that I'm in. So this is the high-tech setup that I'm... You know, we've got chairs over here. We've got tables. And then there's me here. And then out the door is the game that's going on. So as you can see, a super high-tech setup that I've got going for myself here. So yeah, could just put a bed in here and it'd be fine, I'm sure. I will say Lewis has been lacking on the pictures. Some sort of rules discussion happening there. Really wish that I could hear. Okay. We are down to the last 20 minutes, so things are definitely getting tight. And I know I said last round was probably the last one, but I think this one probably has to be the last round. Not on time, but just in terms of what there is left. Something in the flank there. I'm still not 100% sure what that is. That dragony creature. Let's just have another look at the list here. I think it might be a unit of Chaos Ogres, perhaps? Who can say? Let's have a quick check-in, see how the rest of the round is going. Are there any decisive games happening so far? Okay, so this game is very important because Slam Bam, thank you ma'am, is currently 9 points to 11. Renegades of Funk winning ever so slightly, but this game is going to put a big spin on it there. Norwich Last Standers versus Close Horse. Close Horse are smashing it. They got 2 20s, although one of them was a bye because Ollie, I believe, had to leave early today. But then we have an 11 win for Cathay and a 13 win for Vampire Counts as well. And then Cruel Runnings still just that 11 win. Oh, no, an update just coming in. Cathay winning 11 into 9 into Vampire Counts, and then Dark Elves winning 13 into 7 for Nomadic War. So Cruel Runnings with an 8-point lead, but depending on how it goes, still all to play for. All the marbles still to play for there. So the two games, or 2 rounds that haven't completed, both still in with a solid chance of bringing it home. Okay. What are we looking at tomorrow? Flank attack. Okie dokie. Should be an interesting one. Looks like we are into combat over here. It was a very short charge. The elves are going to be attacking before the gigantic spawn. See how much damage we're going to get in. My prediction is a grand total of no. But because they've got hand weapons and shields, they do have a decent chance at not just immediately falling over. Those dragon ogres in the flank, however, are going to cause some real issues for them. Something that they're going to really struggle with. Not bad. Better weapon skill means that they're going to get a lot of hits. They do have to actually turn these into wounds, though. So, Dark Elf Warriors. A good number of hits there. I believe that is 14 hits, if my maths is correct there. So, a good number of hits, maybe translating into a couple of wounds. I think they're probably going to need more than that with the ogres in the flank, though. Although at this point of the game, I think just not losing combat too heavily and running off the board is the main thing that Gwilym's going to be looking for here. All right, 2 wounds, not too shabby. Only a 5-up armor save. Oh, and another 2. 4. Okay, that's really nice. Only a 5-up armor save, so they're never going to kill the... Yeah, 3 wounds there for combat res. Taking it a little bit closer there for the Dark Elves in that heinous combat. Impact hits not doing very much there. Slightly out of sequence, but just remembered. And then we have a whole lot of attacks from the ogres. And this is where we're going to see the true might of the ogres, where they hit, actually a pretty a good amount of times. It's the hit rolls that ogres will struggle with. Once they're wounding you on 2s with the great weapons. Ooh, brutal. So that's 4 that goes straight through the parry save, and then 2 on the actual armor save as well. So... looks like this is going to be a bit of a wipe here for the Dark Elves. 1 pass, though. That's nice. Two attacks with the spawn. Misses with the main attack. With the bite to regen a wound. Misses as well. Okay, and then it comes down to the stumps. That is a lot of stumps. That is a good chunk of stumps there. 4 at AP2. 6 up saves here. Past 1, but that is 8 wounds or 8 dead models. So I think this is going to be a very difficult one for Gwilym to get out of. He's not double outnumbered at the very least, but he is going to be outnumbered. Looking like 8 wounds, a flank. High ground as well. I don't know if they factor that in. That's a 9. That is a flea. -1 leadership on the... yeah, looks like just a straight flea there. Unfortunate. Not going too far. Caught immediately by the ogres. Last dice roll of the game there. So a lot of points taken there. Looking like a pretty solid victory, I think, for the Dark Elves. However, everyone else on Slam Bam Thank You Man did lose. So even though this was a loss to Gwilym, I think it's looking like his team should win. It is 25, 30, 41. 41 to 19, so no matter what the score is, these scores have just come in. No matter what the score is here, it looks like a victory for Renegades of Frank. Nope, that's not true. There are draws. So it is at minimum a draw, and I think Gwillem needs to get 3 points to turn it into a win for his team. So just totting up the stores here, and let's have a look at the Dogs of War. Dogs of War into Cruel Runnings, a little bit rough there. While it was all still to play for, the 2 remaining games were both lost by Dogs of War, so a victory for Cruel Runnings. But Cruel Runnings looking like one of the most solidest of teams at the event, I think. All right. Very, very nice. Totting up the scores, what I will do now is I will make a stream for tomorrow, because obviously we're into the dying hours of this stream, probably going to be on for another 5-10 minutes or so. But tomorrow there will be another live stream, which will be starting at either 9:15 or 9:30. Let me just double check the time of the round start. Let's have a look here. Yeah, 9:15. So it'll probably be 9:30 tomorrow. Let's just schedule that stream now, and round 4. I'd love to tell you what the armies are going to be, but obviously can't quite do that just in terms of the whole pairing process. So we'll see what we get with that. Okay, it looks like the score has been maybe tallied up. Just waiting to see what we've got there. $15-5. I think that means that is a victory by the looks of things for the Renegades of Funk. Just making the thumbnail while I wait here. Gotta be efficient. Has the score been submitted yet? Let's just double check that one. Score submitted, but quick refresh. BCP being as fast and efficient as always. Okay, it's not telling up the scores, but I'm pretty sure that that is a win for Renegades of Funk. Thank you so much for watching this evening. I will be back tomorrow at 9:30 with round 4. There will be a video, like a stream waiting room ready to go if you want to hang around there as I load in. But yeah, it's been great. Gonna go get some food and see you tomorrow.